All right, y'all. I'm on a mission lately to tick off the anti-Pope crowd. But hey, I gotta call a spade, and when the Pope does something good, I'm gonna call it out. I need any excuse I can, and we should all have this mindset. We need any excuse we can to stand behind the Pope because sometimes he makes it very difficult. But then things like this come out, and I'm telling you, I don't know what his deal is, but I just don't think he's as much as of a modernist as he's portrayed to be. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very confused by his pontificate. But check this out. Finally, some sanity out of the Vatican. This is a bold move, considering that the world is increasingly more progressive, and the whole theme being preached over the world right now is inclusion and tolerance. So this is actually, all this is reaffirming the teachings of the church. But in times such as these, this is a heroic act. This is nothing less than heroic. So I'm calling it out. ABC News: Vatican bars gay union blessing, says God can't bless sin. Rome. And here's the thing. What makes gay people special is what I want to know, because check it out. I can't sleep with whoever I want. I'm not married, so I can't just go around fornicating. And if I do fall to sin, I have to go repent of it, and I have to go to confession and accuse myself of my sins and ask for forgiveness. I mean, there's a whole process I have to go through. So what makes gay people think that they're exempt from that? You're fornicating just like I would be. So cut it out. No. It's not a sin to be gay, but y'all need to understand, like, your sin isn't above anybody else's sin. You have a struggle on your hands. You have a battle. You have to beg God for grace to overcome your gay tendencies. And that's how you win. And the bigger your struggle, and that might be a huge cross for you to bear, the bigger that struggle, the greater your reward will be in heaven. But people don't look at it like that. So if you don't look at it like that, then you have no business being in the church to even begin with, because you have no supernatural faith. So anyway, Rome. The Vatican declared Monday that the Catholic Church won't bless same-sex unions since God cannot bless sin. The Vatican's Orthodoxy Office, the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, issued a formal response to a question about whether Catholic clergy have the authority to bless gay unions. The answer, contained in a 2-page explanation published in 7 languages and approved by Pope Francis, was negative. The note distinguished between the Church's welcoming and blessing of gay people, which it upheld, but not their unions. It argued that such unions are not part of God's plan, and that any sacramental recognition of them could be confused with marriage. The note immediately pleased conservatives. It's not even conservatives. This is what the Church has always taught. There's nothing conservative about it. This is the doctrine of the church in the catechism. Disheartened advocates for LGBT Catholics. And here's the thing. There's 100 million other denominations. Go be one of them. How about that? Disheartened advocates for LGBT Catholics and threw a wrench in the debate within the German church, which has been at the forefront of opening discussions on hot-button issues, such as the church's teaching on homosexuality. Francis DiBernardo, executive director of New Ways Ministry, which advocates for greater acceptance of gays in the church, predicted the Vatican position would be ignored, including by some Catholic clergy. And that is frightening, because I'm going to tell you why that's frightening. Because homosexual activity is one of the grave sins that calls out to heaven for vengeance. Catholic people recognize the holiness of the love between committed same-sex couples and recognize this love as divinely inspired and divinely supported, and thus meets the standards to be blessed. No, we don't. No, we don't. We do not recognize that. Don't speak for us. That is not the truth. The Vatican holds that gay people must be treated with dignity and respect, but that gay sex is intrinsically disordered, and that's wording right out of the catechism. Catholic teaching says that marriage is a lifelong union between a man and a woman, is part of God's plan, and is intended for the sake of creating new life. So the sole purpose of your union, if even among straight people, when you get married, we're not allowed to use contraception. Why? Because you have to be open to the possibility of the creation of new life. The church isn't mean and picking on homosexuals, but there's no point in getting married if you're not open to the creation of new life. That's how the church looks at it, and that's correct. And furthermore, if you're marrying somebody of the same sex, you're doing it for purely pleasure. not because you care about God's and creation, because or his order. It's because you're doing it for your own pleasure. So you're worshiping yourself instead of God. Whew. I just can't believe we're discussing this. Like, I can't believe this has to be discussed. I don't understand. The presence in such relationships, okay, blah, blah, blah. God does not and cannot bless sin. He blesses sinful man so that he may recognize that he is part of his plan of love and allow himself to be changed by him, it said. Francis has endorsed providing gay couples with legal protections in same-sex unions, but that was in reference to the civil sphere, not within the church. And I guess this is the clarification that we've been waiting for on his little comment in that documentary or whatever, which this is what I'm saying. It's super confusing. Like, you're going to allow them, like, you have to, I don't know. Those comments were made during a 2019 interview with a Mexican broadcaster, but were censored by the Vatican until they appeared in a documentary last year. I don't know that they were censored by the Vatican. Let's not get crazy. While the documentary fudged the context, Francis... Oh, so yeah, we didn't get the whole story as usual because they try to make this Pope seem like he's more modernist than he actually is. That's what I'm saying. There's a satanic filter that people don't take into account. You know, the Pope says one thing, everybody wants to run to YouTube and bash him. No, go back, go read go to the source. While the documentary fudged the context, Francis was referring to the position he took when he was Archbishop of Buenos Aires. At the time, Argentine lawmakers were considering approving gay marriage, which the Catholic Church opposes. Then Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio instead supported providing legal protection for gays in stable unions through a so-called law of civil cohabitation. But you have to understand, you know what he also said there? He also said that they shouldn't adopt children because it was discriminating against children. So I don't know why he said that. And, you know, I don't think that's right. But they didn't separate it from the church. You can't control people outside the church. Bottom line, people make their own decisions. Go back and watch my video this morning. You can't control people. You can't reason with people who are in the dark. All you can do is speak out against it. But, I mean... I don't know. It's a complicated issue. I don't agree with that stand. I don't agree with providing legal protection for gays in stable unions through a so-called law of civil cohabitation, but that's a long way from allowing, the Catholic Church approves of gay unions. That's how it was being portrayed. Francis told Televisa, homosexual people have the right to be in a family. They are children of God. Speaking of families with gay children, he said, you can't kick someone out of a family nor make their life miserable for this. What we have to have is a civil union law. That way they are legally covered. And I think maybe he's talking about you can't kick someone out of a family nor make their life miserable for this. I mean, I know people who had kids and then decided that they were gay and left their spouse. I'm not saying I agree with it, but do you then take the kids away from that parent? I think that's what he's talking about. I don't know. In the new document and an accompanying unsigned article, the Vatican said questions had been raised about whether the church should bless same-sex unions in a sacramental way in recent years, and after Francis had insisted on the need to better welcome gays into the church. It was an apparent reference to the German church, where some bishops have been pushing the envelope on issues such as priestly celibacy, contraception, and the church's outreach to gay Catholics after coming under pressure by powerful lay Catholic groups demanding change. In a statement, the head of the German Bishops' Conference said the new document would be incorporated into the German discussion, but he suggested that the case was by no means closed. Of course it's closed. You don't change 2,000 years of church teaching and then however many years, 6,000 years before that of Jewish tradition and teaching, which is what Christianity is ultimately the apex of. Unbelievable. There are no easy answers to questions like these. Nope, there are. Sin is sin, regardless of who's committing it. You don't justify it. The problem is there's so many gay priests that they have taken over the church. That's the problem. Saying that homosexual practice, openly living sexuality, is a sin takes us back 200 years and promotes hate speech. Here we go. Now, the Catholic Church in the Vatican is going to be accused of hate speech. So you see the narrative that's being portrayed. So now we have these evil Catholics who aren't going to get vaccinated because the vaccines are diabolical, and they don't believe that gay people should be able to have their union blessed in the church, and they don't recognize gay marriage, so they're intolerant. So there's no room for us in society. Just so you understand where this is all going. This is where it's going. Good for the Vatican, though. Good for the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith for stepping up. What are they saying? Saying that homosexual practice, openly living sexuality is a sin, takes us back 200 years and promotes hate speech that, unfortunately, in Latin America and Europe is on the rise. Paulin said that transforms into injury, see, and even deaths or policies which promote discrimination. See, we're dangerous. Our way of thinking is dangerous. A similar note of exasperation was echoed in the Philippines, Asia's largest Roman Catholic nation, where gay rights leader Danton Remoto said it simply wasn't worth it to fight an old institution. I keep on telling LGBTQIs, what in the hell is a QI, to just have their civil unions done. Remoto said, we don't need any more stress from this church. Leave the church. That's the answer. If you're not going to recognize sin, and if you're going to justify your sin, then you're not in communion with the church anyway. So stop attending. Other critical commentators noted the Catholic Book of Blessings contains blessings that can be bestowed on everything from new homes and factories to animals, sporting events, seeds before planting, and farm tools. They're not going to go there. Yeah, we get our houses blessed so that the demons don't come in. The demons are already residing in your homosexual union. So what you need is probably an exorcist, not a blessing of the union. Crazy. I can't. If the church and the CDF do not advance with the world, constantly rejecting and speaking negatively and not putting priorities where they should be, Catholics will continue to flee. And that's fine. That's fine, because all it's doing is purifying the church. So goodbye. In 2003, the same Vatican office issued a similar. And you know what? As Catholics and as bishops and as cardinals and whoever, the hierarchy of the church needs to stop being scared of dropping numbers. Stop it. Jesus had 12 apostles? So stop being scared of dropping numbers. We're held hostage to this fear that the Catholic Church is disappearing. The Catholic Church is never going to completely disappear. It's going to get smaller. But stop being scared. Stop letting them hold out. But it's always about money. And that's where the corruption comes in. Anything to keep the money coming. But good for them. Doing so, the Vatican reason then would not only condone deviant behavior, but create an equivalence to marriage, which the church holds is an indissoluble union between man and woman. But you see where this is going. That's why I wanted to point this out. This is ABC News, mainstream media, Associated Press. It's all over. And the time has come where we have to toughen up, because the attacks are going to come and you have to not listen to them. I try to tell people this when it came to this Black Lives Matter nonsense, that, you know what, if you have to risk being called a racist, then that let them think that. That's fine. It's between you and God. If you're a racist, God's going to know, and he's going to convict you for it. And you're going to have to answer for it. But there's a big difference between being an actual racist and then not wanting to go along with a Marxist communist agenda and them calling you a racist. Like, they don't even know themselves. Like, they don't even know what gender they are. They don't even know history. Like, who cares what they say? So we have to stop being scared of being canceled. And I am impressed that the Vatican did what they did right now. This is excellent. That's all. Joan of Arc Media out.